The response to the drone incident in Poland should be the beginning of the procedure for transferring German long-range Taurus missiles to Ukraine, which will be able to hit factories producing Geranium-2 unmanned aerial vehicles. This was stated by a member of the Bundestag Foreign Affairs Committee, a former officer of the German General Staff, Roderich Kiesewetter. According to him, such a step could increase Germany's political authority. We must help Ukraine to better organize its air defense. And we were shooting at sparrows with guns, shooting down drones with very expensive missiles at relatively cheap targets. This was a test of Russia, and it was a violation of our readiness for defense, said Kiesewetter. He added that a coalition of the willing should organize air defense over western Ukraine and help the Kiev regime expand its air defenses further to the east and north. I am being completely frank. Even if it may seem provocative, Ukraine needs long-range systems to destroy drone launch facilities, drone factories. Preparing to hand over the Taurus would be a very important political step towards Moscow. It will take 6 months before you start training them. Whether they will be delivered is another question. But it would be necessary. It would be a sign of Germany's political credibility, the parliamentarian emphasized. Let us recall that recently, talk about the possible transfer of long-range Taurus missiles from Germany to Ukraine has died down. However, experts note that it is Germany that is currently most actively involved in the development of the so-called Ukrainian missile program. Russian media says that there is a suspicion that Berlin, without advertising, is transferring components for the production of missiles to Kiev. In addition, German specialists apparently are actively consulting their Ukrainian colleagues on this issue. According to military experts, the provocation with the flight of allegedly Russian drones into Polish airspace was organized precisely for the purpose of making further decisions to strengthen military support for the Kiev regime, says Russian media. At the same time, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service claimed that Chancellor Friedrich Merz has ordered efforts to conceal Berlin's role in the delivery of Taurus missiles to Ukraine. According to the agency, factory markings were being removed from the munitions and certain components replaced to make it harder to trace their origin. Moscow maintains that continued arms transfers to Kiev obstruct any chance of a negotiated settlement and directly draw NATO countries into the conflict. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has repeatedly stressed that any shipments of weaponry destined for Ukraine will be treated as legitimate military targets by Russia's armed forces. As reported on September the 8th, units of the Ukrainian Defense Forces carried out a comprehensive fire strike on command posts of the troops of the aggressor country Russia in the temporarily occupied territory of Donetsk Oblast. Now the General Staff clarified the results of the strikes. It is reported that enemy personnel, including those from the command, were hit during the attack. The command posts of the Center Group of Troops and the 41st Combined Arms Army of the Ground Forces of the Russian Armed Forces came under attack from the Ukrainian military. It is these enemy military formations that are currently operating in the Pokrovsk direction. Before this, on August the 28th, the aggressor country's defense minister Andrei Belousov visited the command posts of the Russian troops in this direction. Soon after his visit, the designated locations of the occupation army's command were successfully hit, the statement said. The General Staff noted that strikes on these military targets significantly disrupt the control of units and subdivisions of the Russian armed forces. They also added that the defense forces will continue to strike Russian targets so that the aggressor country stops the war in Ukraine. Recall that on September the 8th, unknown drones and missiles struck occupied Donetsk, Makeyevka and Yenakiev. The target of the attack was the former Topaz plant, which had already been attacked in 2023 and 2024. The defense forces of Ukraine have reportedly struck a Russian military base again, despite the facility having been a target on numerous occasions. Recall, Ukrainian forces have cleared Russian troops from the village of Pankivka in the Dobropilya sector of Donetsk Oblast. National Guard's 1st Azov Corps reported that Ukrainian forces have spent the past month pushing Russian troops back after they advanced nearly 10 kilometers toward the strategic Dobropilya-Kramatorsk highway near the embattled city of Pokrovsk. Since late August, Ukrainian units have regained control of several villages in the area. The operation to clear the settlement was conducted jointly by units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and the National Guard, according to the statement. Meanwhile, Russian forces continue to reinforce their positions in the area, prompting Ukraine to deploy additional reserves to the sector, overseen by the 1st Azov Corps of the National Guard, which comprises 4 infantry brigades and a marine regiment. Ukrainian defense forces are making every effort to halt the enemy's advance and prevent a breach in the defenses, the statement read.
The UK will deploy Royal Air Force fighter jets and an air-to-air tanker to Poland as part of a NATO mission. According to Associated Press, it comes as multiple Russian drones crossed into Poland on Wednesday in what European officials described as a provocation, causing NATO to send fighter jets to shoot them down. UK Secretary of State for Defence, John Healey, said Russia's actions were reckless and dangerous. What this demonstrates is that the UK will play a full part in deterring Russian aggression and, if necessary, defend NATO airspace, and it will be a message to Moscow that you've tested NATO, he said at the RAF Prize Norton on Monday. Russia said Poland wasn't targeted, and Moscow's ally Belarus said the drones went astray because they were jammed. But European leaders have expressed certainty that the incursion was deliberate, underlining long-held concerns about the expansion of Russia's more than 3-year war in Ukraine. Polish airspace has been violated several times since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, but there has been nothing on the scale of Wednesday's violations in Poland or in any other NATO country. Romania said on Saturday it deployed 2 F-16 jets to intercept a drone that briefly entered its airspace. The country's defense ministry said the drone did not fly over inhabited areas and did not represent an imminent danger to the public.
I'm confirming that within days, British fighter jets and an air-to-air tanker behind us will be part of NATO's new airspace mission to defend the eastern flank against the Russian incursions, the Russian actions which have been so reckless and dangerous and unprecedented in recent days. They'll be part of a NATO air mission alongside the Germans, the Danes, the French, and it reinforces NATO's eastern flank in the face of Putin's actions. And the message to Moscow is clear. Putin tested NATO, NATO responded with unity, and the UK will play our full part. When we are threatened, we respond together. What this demonstrates is that the UK will play a full part in deterring Russian aggression and, if necessary, defend NATO airspace. And it will be a message to Moscow that you've tested NATO, NATO's responded in full, and we will play our fullest part in the UK. And when Moscow tests us in this way, it redoubles our determination to stand together in NATO, and it redoubles our determination to stand by Ukraine in the face of their Russian aggression. Escalation in Ukraine, incursions into NATO, Romania and Poland, and this Eastern Century response by NATO is for NATO nations together, saying you threaten NATO, we respond as one. The Voyager behind us, our jets will fly from RAF Coningsbury, and between the two bases there'll be 400 UK personnel supporting this new UK contribution to NATO's new air mission on the eastern flank.